to edition 95 of All Killa, No Filler podcast with me, Rachel Fairburn, Kiri Pritchard-McLean. Just before we start, we'll do our usual disclaimer. This isn't hero worship. We do this podcast because we're mutual interest in serial killers. As long as we are doing this podcast, it stops us from writing to them in prison.
Yeah, it's a big day to be recording. It's Jonathan's birthday.
It's Jonathan's birthday. Jonathan, our oldest living land animal.
Yeah.
Jonathan the tortoise is 190 years old. Happy birthday, Jonathan.
We're talking about this because I stayed at Rachel Fairburn's house last night, which is lovely because we don't get to hang out as much anymore. And the first thing she said, wandering around with a tablet in her hand, was like, "Oh, it's a tortoise's birthday today," and it's made the news.
It's having a 3-day celebration.
Oh fuck! I hate people who stretch their fucking birthdays out.
He may as well. He's 190 years old. It might be his last one.
If your friend is a woman, this is very gendered and sexist, I know, and they stretch their birthday out, wait to see how they behave when they get married. If they get married. Because the people I know who are like, it's my birthday week, or whatever, they're the ones who are like, I've got the post-wedding blues.
Don't. I've said this before, I'm out now. I'd celebrate Jonathan's birthday, because I think, worth celebrating that. Do you know they know that he's 190?
Yeah, I think it's bullshit, but go on.
So there was a photograph.
Did they cut him open and count his rings?
There was a photograph of him in 18 something, and they ascertained that he was 50 years old.
Rachel, there was a photograph of a tortoise.
Yeah.
It wasn't of him.
It was Jonathan.
How do they know? Everyone who was there is dead.
He's a very recognisable critter.
But he's not.
He's also gay, apparently.
Really? Oh, well, I love that.
I thought you'd change your mind. Apparently he's gay.
I love that. That's the secret to a long life.
But 190, I think, well, he's not fucking doing anything, is he?
No. I actually think it's quite rude that he outlived the Queen.
Yeah, I thought she was our longest living land animal.
Although now, the Times has dropped consort, and when you say the Queen, you're talking about Camilla.
Oh.
And let me tell you, parts of Twitter are going absolutely mad. They're
really?
Like, she's no queen. And then just showing pictures of Diana.
Oh, my God. You know what? Let's face it. The Queen was the Queen. It's not going to be the same, is it?
No.
No one wants a mug with Prince Charles on it.
Well, this is the thing. I still can't call him King Charles.
There you go. I've just called him Prince Charles. It's too...
do you know what I am sort of semi-surprised by? Is that the Queen, in terms of years, didn't live as long as Prince Philip. Because he was, what was he again? 99?
He looks a bit like Jonathan, actually.
He was 99, she was 96.
Yes.
And you know why? Here's a fact for you. Because if women get married, it shortens their lifespan, and if men get married, it lengthens theirs.
Why is life so cruel? This is not fair.
Because men are parasites.
Emotional vampires. Oh my God. I honestly, as a woman who's never been married, probably never will be, because, A, what's the point, and B, no one's asking. I think... I will probably be the human version of Jonathan.
You can't age you. Someone's going to show a picture of you in 2006 and go, we think she was 50 here, but we aren't sure.
Yeah, no one's... I don't know. I'll probably never get married. This is not a sad thing I'm saying. I just probably never will. It's not going to happen now, is it? Also, I find it quite embarrassing.
What?
Getting married. I feel quite self-conscious about that.
I think the problem is I really like the idea of having a big party, but I think I can just sort of have that anyway.
Yeah, have a party, that's it.
It's just the legal contract side of it, really.
But as I've said now, I'm out now. Yeah, fine. Birthdays, weddings, Christmases, whatever, I'll celebrate with you. There's so many people on my list now that I'm like, no. I've been to enough of your birthday parties. I've been to your weddings. I've been to your engagement parties. You can get fucked now. What's little old Fabs had? Nothing.
But do you know what? I'm someone who, if I want a party, I've got to organise it myself. And my partner is very thoughtful and conscientious and would do things like that, but you just
get to the point now where you think, what am I celebrating now? What now?
Isn't it just nice that you just get pissed?
Yeah, but I have such little free time at the moment.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I've got to get on a train again to go to you again. Fucking hell.
But I got on a train, came here. Do you know what I was really struck by coming here? It's fucking roasting down here.
Yes, it's warm.
Because I've got a massive coat on because I've been in Scotland and I've been in Wales. Yep. It's really hot in London.
I went to Newcastle the other day to do a gig, and I got off the train and I was like, I think this is how winter's meant to feel, because it was very chilly. but it's very warm down here.
I'm wearing gloves and hats everywhere else.
Yeah, I've got a new hat with Bart Simpson, and it's not cold enough to wear it.
Oh, mate, that's really sad.
Little Bart Simpson hat that I bought in John Lewis yesterday, where I spent. So Tim's mum was visiting, and she loves to go to John Lewis at Christmas. I didn't know they had a Christmas shop in there, which I really enjoyed actually. But I'm not a person who shops. Like I don't go out going, I'll have a day shopping. You know, I'll go on my apps, I think.
Yeah.
Or I'll go in a charity shop. She loves it. She likes to go in there, you know, make a day of it. I was in John Lewis for 3 fucking hours.
That's unbelievable.
I was like... don't get me wrong, I enjoyed myself. I'm really glad that she had a good time. But I was like...
If you worked there, they'd have insisted you had a break in that time.
But yeah, exactly. But I think it's because... Maybe you'll relate to this. If you're from the countryside and you don't have the big shops, that kind of thing... Maybe it's more exciting, but obviously I'm from Manchester and I just get on a bus and go to the shops.
Yeah, no, it definitely was. I remember Christmas, it would be a big thing that we go to Chester, and it would be very exciting.
Yeah.
Because you couldn't get anything you wanted, so it was a day. Going to the Trafford Centre was mind-blowing.
Yes.
Mind-blowing, because you were like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And then obviously I worked in there for years, and I was like, well, all the fucking shine's gone off this weird place.
Yeah, and also there you go, I worked in Kendall's, didn't I, in Manchester. That's my first job when I left school, so... I worked in a department store, so maybe I don't have that same excitement.
Do you know what department store I will always sort of feel like joyous and wide-eyed in, even though I don't buy anything because I can't afford it? It's Liberty in Soho.
Oh, do you know I've only ever been on the ground floor?
There's a Christmas shop and it's fucking incredible.
Right, well, I might have to go and have a look at that.
And there's a really nice stationery bit. There's a rug shop in there. It's and the building's astounding. That Tudor.
See, I enjoy... I like a bit of Fortnum and Mason.
Oh, I've never been in, but can I? I'm going to sound like a right arsehole here now, but I might claw it back at the end.
Yes.
So I think maybe I've even spoken about this before. You know me, I love a peace sec. My brand of choice is, if you're listening, I will take sponsorship, is the Spa own brand Prosecco Magnum for 18 quid.
Yeah.
It's fantastic, it's vegan. So I love a bit of peace sec, and I think peace sec, right? And then I think it was Russell Howard bought me for Christmas a Fortnum and Mason like booze package, and there was a bottle of Prosecco in that, and I was like, oh, let's try Fortnum and Mason Prosecco. Rachel, it was unbelievable.
Ooh, really?
It was the nicest thing I've ever put in my mouth, and you know how nice my partner is. It was unbelievable, and I was like, fuck, this is brilliant. And so I looked up how much it'd be. So what do you pay in Tesco, like when it's on offer, about 7 quid, 8 quid?
7 quid.
How much do you reckon a Fortnum and Mason bottle of Prosecco was?
I'm going to say 68 quid.
It was £15.
What?
Yeah, so I was like, right, well, I might just for Christmas get half a dozen bottles of that.
100% get that. That's really good
brilliant.
value.
Yeah.
That is very good value. See, there I'm thinking... Also, the Toffalosis biscuits that they have are the best...
What?
I can't say it. Toffalosis something.
I thought you were saying about a dinosaur. I don't know what you're on
They've
about.
got elephants on them. Toffalosis biscuits. They're like these... They're just delicious.
If you go back and listen to the first episodes of this podcast when we're sat in like
yeah,
a council house in Manchester recording this, I remember us recording it next to a radiator because it was freezing in the room, so we had to both sit either side of this radiator. And now we're like the Fortnum and Mason's biscuits.
Yes, I tend to buy everything second hand, but occasionally you do like to treat yourself, don't you? Oh, I can't believe it's great value. Get 5 of them.
But
oh my god!
I am saying that like I do normally buy from the Spa.
I think though, it's Christmas. You're allowed to treat yourself to a couple of nice little things,
Yeah. Well, do you know what? That's seamless. Speaking of which, if you want to buy limited stuff, Christmas stuff, just so you know, the dry bumming tea towels have sold out. So we're not pissing about when we say things are selling really fast.
Yeah.
I think there's like about a week ago there was 12 Christmas jumpers left, and that was it.
Yes.
Because we don't bulk buy shit and have it sat in a warehouse. We do it the most environmental way of like we basically do them to order. And then all the Fizgo's Pop limited edition range, that is very nearly sold out as well.
And I absolutely love I've been wearing the earrings to death and the badge, the brooch.
Yeah, they're great, right?
They're really good. So many nice comments on them as well.
Yeah, I put the brooch on one of my fur coats and it looks absolutely banging.
Yes, same. Looks really good. Also, let's get this out of the way. Tickets on sale.
Oh, shit, yeah.
Christmas show.
An extra one.
The evening show is sold out. It's gone. There are no tickets for the Birmingham Christmas show for the evening. We added another show for the afternoon, just before the evening show.
Yeah.
That is selling very fast. So if you want to come to the Christmas show in Birmingham...
Over half the tickets have gone already.
Yes, be quick. We also are going to Just for Laughs in London in March next year. That's on sale now. But let's concentrate on Christmas.
Let's do that.
Also, I'm on tour in January. Buy a ticket. There, we've done it. We better get on with the podcast because we've been...
Have we been chatting shit for
How
10
long have we
minutes?
been going on for now? 10 minutes there of
God.
hardcore bants.
Me being like, I do love a Fortnum and Mason Prosecco.
Although, I have to say, and I've moaned about this before, people who've got my invoices, you little Hitlers that are not paying them, it's going to be... If you listen to this and you owe me money from the comedy industry, I've got 2 nieces and a nephew who just really want nice presents for Christmas. And if you don't pay me, you know... There's a lot of things I'm not going to go into, but if you want the kids to have a nice Christmas, just fucking pay me. Who we doing?
We are doing...
Pedro Rodrigues Filho.
I thought we were going to alternate his names then, so we cover them all.
He's also known as Pedrino Matador, Killa, Little Pedro, Little Killer Peter, the Brazilian Dexter, the South American Punisher. It was a listener suggestion, this, was it?
Yes, it was actually, because I think there's a vigilante side to Pedro that we haven't really covered, right? We haven't really talked about a killer who does it for good in it. The closest maybe is Eileen Wernos sort of said that she was doing that.
Yeah, I'm not into this vigilante. We'll get onto this in a bit anyway. Right. He's the 6th most prolific serial killer. He's convicted of 71 murders, but he claims to have killed over 100. So he's like, hang on a minute, I've done more than that. He's often called a vigilante killer because he killed criminals. And this is where people go, this is why he's the South American, you know, the Brazilian Dexter. Because Dexter, the TV show about...
Yeah.
I have never seen it.
Well, it's one of those ones that... I think the 3rd series with John Lithgow is brilliant, and then it jumps the shark hard.
Let me tell you now, if more than 3 people say to me, oh, you'd love this, I will not watch it.
Really?
Fuck off. There's only a few people that I'll listen to.
What a reasonable response.
If you said to me, oh, I've seen this, you'd really like it, I'd listen to you.
Right.
But if people continually ask me, or tell me, oh, you'd love this, I'm like, yeah, well, don't you think you know me? I'm not going to watch it. He was born on the 17th of June or July 1954 in Santa Rita do Sapucaí in Brazil. He, though, says that he was born on midnight on Halloween.
Oh, God, that's so lame. To be like, you know why I'm like this? Because I was born on midnight on Halloween. It's the most teenage goth thing in the world.
So in my head, I just imagine someone, like, propping up the bar at Fifth Avenue as a goth.
No, you know. Satan's Hollow it would be.
Yeah, but no, they'd be in Fifth Avenue, they're like, yeah, I'm a bit different.
Yeah.
I'm only here because, you know...
Have you heard of Marilyn Manson?
I'm only here because one of my female friends feels safe when I'm around. That's
which is the most unsafe thing anyone's ever said.
His father was called Pedro Rodrigues Sr. and his mother was called Manuela. Now, the father, classic, was a violent boozer.
Really violent, though?
Yeah, strap in for this. This is pretty horrible. When Manuela was pregnant with Pedro, his father, Pedro Sr., kicked her in the stomach. And Pedro was born with a misshapen skull and suspected brain injury.
That is unbelievable to first of all, to like inflict violence on anyone, let alone someone pregnant with your child, and then to boot them so hard that it affects the baby like that.
It's pretty grim.
It made me feel ill.
It's horrible, isn't it? I mean, I'm always like very sensitive around pregnant women anyway. I'm always like, oh God, please don't bend over.
Do you know what I think's weird is when people like non-consensually go, oh, can I touch it or touch their tummy?
You know, the worst is actually, I think that the other way around is the worst. When somebody grabs your hand and puts it on their pregnant stomach.
I've never had anyone do that to me.
I've had that a few times and I hate it. I'm really squeamish about pregnancy. I just find it quite...
I can't believe they would do that. That's so weird.
Yeah, that's happened to me a few times. And I'm like, I don't want to touch you. Thank you very much. But yeah, I'm always like, ooh, put that bag down. Ooh, don't bend over like that.
Really?
Yeah, I hate it. It just makes me on edge.
Oh, my mum is fully one of those. pregnancy's not an illness. One of those.
I get that as well, because I sometimes, you know, when there are some people that I've known in the past that have been pregnant, it's like, oh, I must take to my bed like.
But some people, pregnancy is an illness. They will have.
Oh yeah.
Shit.
But no, I'm talking. Listen, these people had form.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I'm always like, ooh, don't do that. And I don't know. I just feel. I'm just very squeamish. I think it is very squeamish if you think about it. It's a bizarre thing that happens. We should have. How have we not evolved for it to be easier? He grew up on a farm with 7 younger siblings.
God, hell.
Fucking hell. His mother must have been pregnant consistently.
Yeah, like Sarah Beanie.
Yeah. Do you know?
So how do I explain that to people who are international?
What does she do?
So she's quite posh. I think she knows about property. So she's on lots of like property shows, because I don't know if other countries are obsessed with the houses like Britain are, but there's loads of things that are like escape to the country, location. They're all about things that are like, fuck over other people by selling your house for money and then moving somewhere else.
Sarah Beanie, I mean, I've never seen a programme with her on. The only thing I remember about was I used to work with this security guard at the library. I'll tell you, I like that Sarah Beanie. She's all right, her, isn't she? She's a proper woman, her, that Sarah Beanie.
Loads of people really fancied her. She was like a big sex symbol. It's very strange.
It's so weird.
Yeah, so she is sort of like, I don't think she's got 4 boys, and I think it's just that thing of whenever she was filming, she just perpetually seemed pregnant, and then it gets repeated, so you're like, is she gestating like an elephant?
I think that was part of the attraction that men...
Well, yeah, she's clearly fertile.
Yeah.
I also think that she was like a bit glam, but not. So she's like blonde with a bit of makeup,
but not afraid to muck in.
Yeah, a wax jacket and also a pair of boots.
Yeah, if she, you know, pregnant Sarah Beanie were bending over and carrying bags, and I'd be on edge constantly. I wouldn't enjoy that at all. So Pedro was the oldest, and he obviously had to help out on the farm. He had a lot of responsibility, but also he had to protect his mother from the violence of his father. Now, Manuela, his mother, was a religious woman who was very strict. Now, obviously, Brazil is a very violent place to grow up. Not all of Brazil is, but it is...
There can be violence.
Again, they've got form. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of drug gangs. Violence is very much, especially if you're growing up poor, a part of life. Pedro was very close to his grandfather. He was a nan kid. He taught him life skills, including self-defence and how to slaughter animals.
That is such a, like... You know when you've got, like, a rough granddad and they're like, I'll give you life skills. Here's how you kill a man.
Yeah, well,
and a pig.
My grandparents, they teach me how to tell the time and how to tie my shoelaces. Maybe how to bake a little cake. Not self-defence and slaughtering, although my granddad actually did teach me a bit of self-defence, but he always used to do. He used to go, right, what you should do if you're frightened of being attacked, roll up a newspaper or a magazine really, really tight, and then if someone comes up near you, just hit them in the temple, it'll kill them.
What?
Yeah, so it's like if you roll up a paper really tight, and if you do hit someone in the side of the head, it will probably kill them.
Oh my God.
'Cause it's like a bar, isn't it?
Yeah. But also,
never had to use it.
That's of a generation, like, who's got a newspaper now?
Thank you very much. It's very true. Hit him with your Kindle.
A Kindle to the temple.
A Kindle to the temple. He was told that he said if he was his grandfather said to him, "Oh, if you drink the ox blood, you'll have strength of an ox." And at 10 years old, Pedro was regularly hunting to provide for the family. Something happens when he's 13. You've got a theory about Pedro as well. You think he's our youngest.
I'm sure he must be.
Killer, yeah.
Because he does a revenge killing, basically. So his dad...
Oh, hang on, we've got this first.
Oh, go on.
Oh, there's an incident. So when he's 13, he gets into a fight with one of his older cousins because his cousin had taken his horse without permission. Countryside problems. They sort of... Oh, no, he took his cousin's horse, that was it. So his cousin was pissed off and he punches Pedro. So Pedro was really annoyed, but what he did was he waited, right? He bided his time, and they were waiting until they were working on his grandfather's sugar cane machine. Now, there were some rollers that crushed the cane, right? So he said he got his cousin and he tried to push him through the machine. So he got his cousin's arms and he put them through the crusher. And then he tried to push his entire body through the machine, but the machine jammed. And then he didn't stop, he tried to push his cousin's head in. He then thought, well, this isn't working. So Pedro then takes some pruning shears and starts attacking his cousin. It's not funny, it's just stupid. It's like mad.
This Kid is a psycho.
So other workers saw what was going on, alerted the grandfather, who came and switched the machine off, and then Pedro spent 2 nights in jail, but the family didn't press charges because they were like, well, we need him for working on the farm. He's the oldest boy, so we'll just forget about it. And then, a year later, when he's 14, this is when he commits his first murder.
He is so terrifying. Like, he's really scary. So basically, his dad was fired by the town's vice mayor. And Pedro hears about this and then decides to sort of avenge his father's being slighted.
Okay.
So he turns up at the city hall with a shotgun and shoots him, and he's 14 years of age. He kills him. So this is why I think, because to me, Edmund Kemper is the youngest at 15, and this is a full year on that. So I think he might, and he definitely would have. It's an attempted murder at 13, and then a successful one at 14.
Yeah.
And then he just really, he starts going for it.
So it's mad because how does he kill the mayor?
He shoots him.
That's
vice mayor. He shoots him in front of the city hall.
Oh, he gets he camps out. He camps in the woods near the mayor's home. When the mayor comes home one night, he shoots him, and then Pedro does a runner.
And Pedro's father got fired because he was a school guard, and they said, you're stealing food from the school. Can I just say, I don't think anyone should ever get fired for stealing food or arrested, especially in these times. Just to know, if you see anyone stealing food in this day and age in the UK, if you tell on them, you're fucking scum.
I've seen people nicking stuff. I've never fucking said anything. No, it's a real. If someone's stealing food, just fucking leave them.
Yeah.
The day guard was the person who was apparently the actual thief. Pedro went to avenge him as well, and a month later, he hides in a cupboard in the building, corners the guard, points a gun at him and says, I want to talk. Then he decided that he was going to tell him exactly why he was going to kill him. The guard was like, please don't kill me. He shot him twice, he piled furniture on his body, and then he set it on fire.
Oh my God.
He's 14 years old. He's 14 years old.
He's like this mad vigilante of like... I guess, is he murdering... He's not murdering the guy for stealing food, he's murdering the guy for allowing his dad to take the fall for it, right?
Yeah, I think so. With no proof.
No.
No proof.
But also, when you work places.
Yeah.
So then he flees. He basically goes on the run, and he goes to an area of Sao Paulo called Mogi das Cruzes.
That's the one.
Yeah. That was so badly pronounced, so I apologise. Then he's straight into it again and starts murdering again. For a start, he gets in with a gang that is burgling.
Yes. Well, he meets this woman called Booty. Now, basically, it says she uses abuse and influence to get these teenage boys to work for her. So it's basically drug trafficking.
Yeah.
She's an adult. He's 14. She's a groomer. This is bad. Just because she's a woman, we're not letting her off.
No.
He moves in with her and becomes a drug trafficker. Now, the other boys that were working for Booty... I wonder why
her name is also Maria Aparecida Olympia.
Yeah, I think Booty's easier. They weren't happy about this. And then the other boys one day took him out. They said, we're going to smoke some weed. And Pedro saw that they were armed and he was like, well, I don't trust them. He gets his gun, pulls the gun on them, says, drop your weapons. How has he got so much power? They did. He kills 2 of the boys and injures the other one. And there was absolutely no evidence that this is what these lads were going to do, by the way. There was no evidence that that's what they were going to do, kill him.
He's paranoid, right?
He starts to be referred to as Cartridge Peter due to him being fond of using a shotgun rather than a...
Oh, really?
Handgun, yeah. Cartridge Peter. Now, he hated this particular gang leader called China. Pedro says he's a bully. Oh, who'd have thought a gang leader would have been a bully? And he says he thinks I'm going to get revenge on him. So he decides to steal drugs and weapons from his gang. And obviously China is rightly pissed off. Bear in mind, Pedro is still only 14 at this point. And he's still working for Booty. He's drug running. He's doing all kinds of stuff. However, Booty gets shot during a police raid. And Pedro is heartbroken. He realises then he's got nobody to protect him. So he's like, oh, shit.
She dies as well.
Yes, she dies. He's like, shit, what am I going to do? He runs away. And he goes to stay with his aunt and uncle. Now, this is when he gets into a religion called Candomblé. right? So this religion, it's based around music and dance, very important. Sounds good so far. There's no concept of good or bad. You just have to fulfill your spiritual destiny.
Right.
So if you're a good person, you're a good person. You're a bad person, you just have to, that's you. So he joins the religion, and this requires a ritual, right? Animal sacrifice. You have to get...
He's been doing that since he was 13.
You have to shave all your hair off, all over.
Right.
You have to get gunpowder, 7 stringed beans, a black cat, and a shaved coconut.
What?
So you kill the cat, drink its blood, and cover you in the remains for a bit, right?
Oh,
then you bury the cat, you put the seeds placed into... It sounds like something fucking Heston Blumenthal would do.
I think it sounds like something Gwyneth Paltrow would have put on our website.
This is to make your vagina smell nice. You put seeds inside the cat and bury it. So when they're doing this, they all dance round, and he enjoyed this, and everyone's dancing around having a good time, and he's doing this ritual, and he starts to think, I feel like I'm being possessed by something here, He's really caught in a moment. I can see why you'd get excited and go along with this. A week later, you dig up the cat, you remove the seeds, and you make a necklace from the seeds, right? Now, this was meant to protect your spirit. Now, he wore these, and then after this, he believed he was invincible to knives and bullets. And after this, he was not scared of dying.
That's like those, the Liberian War and the civil war that was in Liberia, and there would be rival gangs, and there would be one gang who fought naked because they thought it made them impervious to bullets and things. Yeah, and they were called let me Google it.
I can't imagine anything more terrifying than a gang of naked men.
Liberian men with sort of massive guns. What am I searching for this? Naked gang. Liberia. I'm just so worried about what I'm gonna... Yeah, his name was General Butt Naked. I thought it was that. Yes, which is sort of referenced in Book of Mormon. His name was Joshua Balahi. But yeah, he was it was in the Liberian Civil War. He and the children who were part of his sort of militia would fight naked.
This is such a bizarre thing that I think about. I don't think there's anything much sadder than child soldiers. I'd say at least 6 times a month I sit there and feel sad about the fact that there are child soldiers.
Really?
Yeah, I think it's really awful.
Bleak. But we have a sort of version of it, like the county line stuff in our country at the moment with kids who would sort of find school difficult or from really troubled backgrounds or really vulnerable backgrounds.
I mean, that's shit, but that is shit, don't get me wrong, but imagine seeing your parents being slaughtered, being ripped away from them, being given cocaine and a gun.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a contest.
But apart from the parent bit, that they are given drugs, they are given weapons,
Fucking
they
hell.
are, and
What
otherwise
is wrong with people?
Otherwise they go, well, kill your parents. It's yeah.
Why is life so horrible?
It's horrible.
Ugh. Anyway, he's not scared of dying, he's happy. He sees himself as some sort of Robin Hood kind of guy. He's robbing to feed the poor, he's burning down people's businesses, he killed men who attacked women. He's loving life. He thinks this is a great way to live. He's still involved with gangs, and he's moving around a lot. He ends up in Rio. This is where he meets Maria Olympia. Now, he falls in love with her. She becomes pregnant. He returns home one day, strapping, this is horrible, to find Maria, who's 7 months pregnant, dead. On the wall, in her blood, are the words, "We will get you." Pedro's obviously heartbroken, but at this point, he's got so many enemies, he's like, I don't know who's done this, it could be anyone. So over a year, he's like, I'm going to torture a lot of people and find out exactly who this was. Now, the answer was staring him straight in the face, actually, but he should have known this. So a gang member's ex-girlfriend, an ex-girlfriend of China, who we heard about before.
This is so confusing.
She says to him, it was China who ordered Maria's murder. Right? Bit brave grassing. I wouldn't do that. He was waiting all the time to get revenge, and he waited and waited, and he thought, well, this is how I'm going to get Pedro back. I'm going to murder her. I've bided my time, and this is how I'm going to do it. So he discovers the weekend after that he finds out this information, there was to be a huge wedding that China and his family were attending. So Pedro gets some of his mates, gives them guns and stuff, and they arrive at the wedding, and they say to this old dude at the door, hello, we're honoured guests of China. He goes into the wedding, he shoots China in the chest, dead, at the wedding. He then decides to kill every man at the wedding, but not the women and children.
What a good guy.
So Pedro and his pals just shoot, right? They kill 7 men and wound 16. Then they go to the bar at the wedding and have a drink to celebrate.
It sounds like a fucking great wedding.
If this was in a film, you'd go, well, that's unbelievable. That wouldn't happen.
If you were at that wedding, you'd be made up. That would be... You'd talk about that. You'd dine out on that for years.
Let me tell you what happened.
But I was at that wedding. I swear to God.
I was at that wedding.
Yeah. Tell them a bit about when you said this to this gunman.
24th of May.
It's like full Scarface, isn't it?
Yeah. 24th of May 1973. He's still only 18 at this point. He's 18 years old. The police arrest him because of this wedding massacre. And there's a gunfight. He wakes up in hospital. He's surrounded by reporters. He ends up all over the news because he says, I do this because I'm a vigilante. He's charged with 18 murders. And when he finds out that it's only charged with 18, he says, over 18, I've killed over 100 men. He's only convicted of 14 of the murders, and he's sentenced to 126 years in prison. However,
God,
Pedro doesn't want to stop killing.
no.
So he's a vigilante. He's going to prison. He's like, I'm notorious anyway. He goes into the prison. He's offered protective custody, and he says, no, I want to go into the general population. And he carries on killing, which is like a great Lost Carry On film. Before he gets to prison, he's in a van with a man who's been convicted of being a rapist. And he hates rapists more than anyone.
Well, there's two criminals in there. There's one who's like a petty thief and one who's a rapist. This is in 1973. The police put them all in the car, go and do something, come back, and when they open the car door, he killed the rapist. But we haven't talked about his...
It's like something from Jurassic Park. You know, you see like a velociraptor go in somewhere and they go in and everyone's dead. It's mad.
Yeah.
It's obviously, Brazilian prison was horrible, as you could probably imagine.
Yeah.
Deaths were almost daily, and there was often gangs beheading rivals in there. Horrible. He arrived as a hated man, though, because of his celebrity status. So on the first time he's there, the first day, he's ambushed by 5 prisoners. And by the end of this fight, 3 of the 5 were dead and 2 were seriously injured. Nobody, after this point, messes with him.
This is unbelievable because whilst in prison, he kills 47 people.
I can't believe
Which is the
this.
majority of his murders that are on record.
It's mad.
So that is fucking wild to be a murderer, put in prison, and then murder more people than you murdered outside of prison.
He made homemade knives, weapons were smuggled in. He could break necks with his hands.
Oh my
He'd kill
God.
rapists, paedophiles. However, he also killed someone who snored loudly and a person who spied on him during a conjugal visit.
The problem is I know I have it in me to do the last 2.
Yeah, I
So I
think
wouldn't have been
I'd
safe.
have to kill someone who'd seen my bum. Without permission.
What? So why are you giving him conjugal visits? He just killed fucking nearly 50 people in your prison.
I know, I don't... I mean, who's married him? That's the other thing, I don't...
Yeah.
But he's a celeb. He's got
a
celeb
celebrity.
status, so
If
he's... Yeah. He's now huge news, by the way. Yes, here we go. He'd get fan mail, love letters, marriage proposals.
He also said he only ever murdered anyone that he thought deserved retribution.
Yeah, well, you're not judge, jury and executioner. You don't get to fucking make the decisions on who's, should die. He also got requests for hits on other prisoners. So people would write in and say, oh, hello, this person raped me, whatever, or this person attacked me, can you kill them? And he'd be like, oh, yeah, okay, why not? He kills one of his friends, Claudio. Pedro said he'd look after Claudio. Claudio goes into... This is what happens. He goes to stay with Pedro's family when he's released. Mm. He dates Pedro's sister. Then there's a fight with Claudio and one of his other brothers, and the guns come out. Claudio goes to kill Pedro's brother, but misses and shoots Pedro's sister instead and kills her.
Oh my God.
Then he goes back to prison, the same prison. He arrives, Pedro says, I know it was an accident, I forgive you. And then a little bit later on, Pedro just stabs him repeatedly in the neck until Claudio is decapitated.
What?
Yes.
He is... he's described as the perfect psychopath in things, which I feel like if you got into the WhatsApp of anyone who's dated me for any amount of time, it's probably a phrase that's being thrown around as well. Or a thing that a neggy boyfriend would call you, like, you're the perfect psychopath.
Yeah.
But because he had this sort of alleged moral sort of prism to what he was doing, but also he lies. He's extremely violent. I think he just really likes killing people.
I think he enjoys it.
Yeah, he does. The fact that if you're stabbing someone in the neck is awful, but the fact you do it so much that you technically decapitate them is the most visceral thing I've ever heard.
But he's doing hits for people. He's not going, oh, you've done something to me or my family, I'm going to kill you. He's like, all right, okay, I'll kill you as well. He's enjoying it. He loves it. The prison guards, this is something bad happens here. The prison guards call him in one day. They've got some news about his mum, who he's just seen that morning. She visited him every week without fail. She'd been murdered. Now, she was stabbed in bed as she was asleep by Pedro Sr., Pedro's dad.
If you were hit, right, you must know as you're doing that, right, my son's going to kill me.
She'd been stabbed 21 times.
Fucking what a violent household.
Pedro visited his mother's body and promised her he would avenge her death. He said, I will kill my father and eat his heart. Now...
Is it what she would have wanted?
Who knows? I think what she would have wanted not to have been brought up in poverty with mad children.
Yeah.
And a violent husband. Pedro Sr. is convicted and sent to the same prison but a different part. However, Pedro gets to him.
How?
Well, he says he's ill.
Right.
And the guard comes in and he steals the guard's gun. Then he rounds up all the other guards and locks them in his cell. He then goes to his father's cell, points the gun at him, wrestles his dad, stabs him 22 times, one more time than his mother was stabbed. He cuts out his father's heart.
And then he
eats it. Starts to chew it. It was too chewy though.
Yeah.
And he just spat it out. Then he goes back to his cell, lets the guards out, lets them handcuff him and take him away.
True gentleman, that, isn't it?
A real gentleman killer.
The bit is so funny to be like, I'm gonna kill him, I'm gonna eat his heart, and actually get down to it like, this is horrible, actually, it's really cute. I can't get any purchase on it.
It's so grim, isn't it?
It's really grim. And it's his dad as well. Like, this is why I think that he just must have no
incestuous cannibalism.
He must have no connection to his emotions.
No. A rumour starts, though, about his friend, which led to his friend's murder. The prisoner that started the rumour was a transgender inmate who were kept in separate parts of the prison. He decided that he was going to break into that section and kill these people. He went in there. So the transgender inmates were kept in a separate part of the prison.
So hold on, was he going in there to, like, because he didn't approve of trans people? Or was it just there was someone in there he wanted to get at?
I think there was someone who he wanted to get at.
That's interesting that the trans inmates are kept somewhere separate.
He goes into this part of the prison, he kills 16 inmates.
Fucking hell.
He said, this is awful, he said he was deaf after the killing due to the screams of the prisoners. At this point, the prison is like, do you know what? This has gone too far.
But also, I mean, he's doing a lovely job of dealing with prison overcrowding.
Real lovely job. So the prison's like, okay, well, this is enough. He gets sent to a psychiatric ward and he's not allowed to mix with anyone. And he's diagnosed as a psychopath. This was maximum security that he was in from 1992 to 2002, completely isolated, 23 hours a day, alone. Guards were ordered to shoot and kill him if he started playing up. And after 10 years of isolation, he was let into general population and never killed again.
Really?
In 2007, he was released.
No. Well, he was initially sentenced to 128 years in prison, but in Brazilian law, the maximum you can have is 30.
Yes.
But while he was in jail, they upped his sentence to 400 years because of everything that he'd done. But he still gets let out. It is... Oh, gosh.
So at this point, he's been convicted of 71 murders.
And they only gave him an extra 4 for all the murders that he did in prison.
And he was rearrested for the prison crimes in 2017, aged 63. But then now he's out. He's been released.
What do you mean he was arrested for prison crimes? As in some of the stuff he did inside?
So yeah,
but that was the 4 years, wasn't it? Yeah. I thought they put it consecutively, but they must have let him out for a bit and then put him in for 4.
I think, to be honest, they probably think, oh, he's more hassling here than he is out there. Get him out.
But if he has... So is he, like, reformed now, then?
It gets worse. He's a YouTuber.
What?
He's a fucking YouTuber.
No. How have I missed that?
He's got a YouTube channel with his friend Pablo. And it's like a general day-to-day life, and Pedro gives his opinion on crime in Brazil. There's over 250,000 subscribers. He refers to himself as the greatest serial killer in Brazil. However, they think there's been a fallout because Pablo's gone solo and does his own thing on YouTube now. So he had this YouTube channel for a long time that was very popular. He'd talk about crimes in Brazil. He'd talk about his life, that kind of thing. But YouTube kept taking it down because people were like, oh, this guy's we don't really think that...
Yeah, murderer.
You should have a YouTube channel.
Oh my God.
But yeah, he's out.
That is unbelievable.
He's out. He's still alive.
And on YouTube. I can't... No.
I'll be in Portuguese as well. You probably can't.
No, I am finding stuff about it. This is... I didn't know that. How have I missed that?
How did you not know that?
I don't know. I just
you
missed
thought I was messing then, didn't you?
No, yeah, because I was looking at loads of stuff in it. I was trying to work out what happened in his childhood, and so I was. That was all the stuff that I was sort of researching. I did.
He had a YouTube channel.
Wow.
But he's quite he's treated quite a bit like a sort of folk hero type character in many ways. I don't like him at all. I don't agree with this. I mean, vigilanteism anyway is not ideal.
No, but like there is sort of a noble history of it, right? But I wouldn't say his is particularly noble. That is so scary. That is so scary that he can be out firstly, and you also know he's a psychopath. Like that's on record. Mm-hmm. You can't. I'm not sure that you can cure that. And then, yeah, he is now
a man who's killed so many people, including his own father. And then ripped his heart out and bitten it. He's out of prison.
Oh my God.
It's insane. He's probably a bit too old now to... He's probably not as strong as he was, probably not as agile as he was. He's in his 60s now, I think, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. Yeah, late 60s. This is bonkers. I'm just looking at a clip of it. Just sat there in a house, and this is... Yeah, well, you know what? Maybe he can offer some insight, but I doubt he's doing it on YouTube.
No.
What else is?
No, he's not...
That is absolutely mind-boggling. I can't get over that. How did I not know about that?
That's the main bit of it. How did you miss that?
Well, I thought the interesting bit was the whole,
eating his dad's heart.
No, it was about the, Dexter stuff. What do you reckon, what crime would you go vigilante on? Not necessarily murder, but, avenge. Can I tell you something really dark? I used to have sort of not killing, but full-blown fantasies about avenging, getting revenge on two people. And one was someone who fucked my friends over, business-wise.
Oh, yeah.
And one...
Beep that out.
One was a letting agent. Because they just lied and cost me so much money when I didn't have the money. And I think that letting agents are ridiculously unscrupulous. And I still remember her name, and every now and then I Google it.
Really?
There'd be so much time passed now that you'd never know it was me if I went and slashed your tyres.
Oh, you're like China, leaving it.
Honestly, I will sit on grudges for decades.
With me, I don't... if anyone did anything to my family... Like my mum or my dad or my sister or my nieces, my nephew or my auntie. That'd be... Or I used to... If anyone had ever done anything to my grandparents, I would have fucking killed them. I couldn't even cope with... If anyone spoke to them rudely...
Really?
Sometimes, now when you hear about horrible crimes that someone's committed against an elderly person, I get so angry. I'm like, if someone had done that to my grandma or my granddad, I would have fucking murdered them.
You got Liam Neeson on them.
Yeah, 100%. Because I couldn't even... Yeah, if anyone was rude to them or treated them like shit because they were old, I used to get so...
Really?
Angry. So that'd be my thing.
I'm never worried about my family because if anyone did anything... I wouldn't be surprised to find out my mum had a gun and she would just go and kill them.
Do you know what? I can imagine your mum, something happening, just going, right then, just getting on a horse, getting a thing.
If when she passes, which will be obviously an incredibly sad day, and we're going through her stuff and we find out that she was a spy, I would be utterly unsurprised.
You know what your mum would be? If the world ended, there's an apocalypse, your mum would be one of the last people left. There would be her on a horse.
Yeah, with a gun. Cockroaches.
Yeah, that would be it.
Yeah, she's an absolute maniac Trojan. So yeah, I think I would not be surprised if she's like a sleeper agent or something like that.
Oh yeah, that'd be cool, wouldn't it?
I'd be utterly unsurprised. So what she started doing now, she can't not work. So when she retired at whatever she was, mid-60s, she had 4 jobs when she retired.
Bloody hell.
And she only retired because they moved and she couldn't keep doing the jobs. So now she's living somewhere else. Now she's volunteering, doing she gets a mileage, but taking people to hospital when there are no ambulances.
Okay, yeah.
It's so weird because she's chronically shy. I was like, well, how do you deal with being in the car with people? Because she's not struggles to chat to us sometimes, and she's like, oh, it's fine because I'm sort of it's like playing a role. I've got a different hat on, so I'm fine. Then she always, oh, I met this person and they did that, and she chats away and things.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, it's quite nice, isn't it? But also, yeah, she's deeply prejudiced, so.
Well, as long as she's got a different hat on. My granddad lied about his age to carry on doing a cleaning job when he was well into his 80s.
Really?
Yeah, when you think he'd been a soldier in World War II, he'd worked all his life, he'd worked in factories and all kinds of stuff. He still riding his bike up until the time he was 88.
Wow.
And he used to work at Curry's in St Anne's Square as the cleaner. So he'd just ride his bike in the city centre of Manchester to do the cleaning job. And then he got found out. I don't know how it got found out that he was, in his 80s. Oh, well, that's the end of that then, innit? But he didn't look 80-odd.
Amazing.
So he just carried it. I mean, they probably thought, God, he looks bad for 60.
I think some people live to work, and my mum is one of them.
Yeah.
Whereas my dad lives to sit in a chair.
I think with some people, particularly my grandparents, because we were very active people, that's a big thing, keeping going, doing stuff. I'm like that. I can't not do anything. I'm always constantly I've got to do something. I've got to go out, or I have to do something during the day. I can't just lie on a sofa or anything like that.
I'm quite good at either being incredibly busy or completely sedentary. There's no in between, so I'm a good mix of my mum and dad there. Honestly, I'm either a puddle of a human who's not really doing anything, or I'm doing a million things and I've overbooked myself. But yeah, I think it's really interesting, isn't it, that some people's health, it's really important for them to just keep going and keep doing stuff. Yeah, you got to keep going.
Don't seize up, keep going.
So what's my mum now? My mum must be... No, what's she now? She's 40 when she had me. I'm 36.
76?
Yeah, 76. Yeah. And she is really always doing something or smashing something up.
So we go, I'm very active. I'm not married.
You can live forever.
I'm going to fucking I don't want to.
You've got great lineage as well. From, an 88-year-old on a bicycle.
I'm quite happy to tap out at 54.
No, not these days. 54's young these days.
I was reading about some history thing, and it was people who made needles in is it Worcester that's famous for needles?
Yeah.
And the average life expectancy was 32.
What?
That was of the needle makers, the life expectancy.
Why, was it lead or something?
It's got to be something, hasn't there? But just fucking miserable. 32.
Making needles for 32 years and then dying. What a fucking shit way. Oh, God. So grim, isn't
Anyway,
it?
that was Pedro.
I can't believe our chat at the end about jobs is more depressing.
Yeah.
That was Pedro, who has blown my mind by being a YouTuber.
Yeah.
Yeah, unbelievable. If you, as we said, there's still some tickets left for the early Christmas show in Birmingham on the 20th of December.
Is it being streamed?
Yeah, one of them will be. I don't know which one.
We'll stream one of them.
Yeah. So if you bought streaming for our last show, the Halloween, your next up subscription will count for that, so you don't need to get it again. And then we're doing JFL, Just for Laughs, on March the 4th, 7 p.m. at the O2.
Yeah.
Us, Ryan Reynolds.
Do you know, as I said, years ago, I used to love Ryan Reynolds. I was obsessed with him, watched every film he was in. You'd have told me that I'd have been on the same lineup as him one day. Back then, I'd have been like, oh my God, I can't fucking believe this. Now, I don't care.
You over it? Well, I now love him. I didn't know who he was, and now I love him.
You reverse roles.
Yeah. I watched the Deadpools. I watched that Welcome to Wrexham, which I loved. I watched Spirited, which was an absolute romp, Rachel. Very nice Christmas.
We've just reversed the roles. I used to be obsessed with him.
And I went to see Wrexham play 2 days ago. Oh. My first ever football match.
Lovely.
I really thought there'd be more food. I think I misunderstood the vibe.
Oh, there was pies?
There might have been. I didn't see them. But you know what? Because they're sponsored by Wrexham Lager, it's like £2.50 for a can of Coke or £3.70 for a pint of Wrexham Lager. Isn't that brilliant?
That's really
like £1.20 more for a pint of alcohol.
Fucking hell.
It's great. But do you know what? I saw lots of people. There was lots of families there. It's a real family thing. I don't know if football is like that generally, like at that level.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
right.
It's in general, it is it's for everyone, and there's always a lot of families there.
Yeah. And then in a half time, I wanted to call it the interval, but I wasn't correct. During the interval, I saw lots of people getting like flasks of tea out, and like they brought lunches and stuff to bring, which I think is quite nice.
You see at that level, that's nice.
Yeah.
You fucking try doing that at a Premier League club.
Really?
You will not get in with a flask of tea.
No way.
No.
Well, do you know what? We got in with a whole recording equipment. There was other people. There was someone in the Farnborough bit who had a fucking drum. I was like, how's he got past that?
Oh yeah, you can bring a drum and stuff like that in for like for the thing. But no, if
you can bring a drum, but you can't bring a flask.
No, you will not get in to a Premier League match with anything that you brought from outside.
Can I say about one thing?
Mm-hmm.
We went through the turnstile, so there's like really like, but they're like very old, almost like dog racing ones. And there was a bit where I was like, I'm gonna get stuck in this.
Oh,
they're quite narrow.
Yeah, they're quite claustrophobic, I think. Yeah.
And I was like, it just hugged either side of my ass, and I was like, no.
They're quite. I find them quite panicky for the milliseconds that you're in it. It's quite a panicking.
Yeah.
They've got them at. So when I go with Tim sometimes to watch Sheffield Wednesday, I go through those turnstiles. I like it there. Nice pies, and I like the mascots Barney and Ozzy, the owls. I like them. I think they're really good fun.
We didn't see any mascots. And I'm used to going to the rugby, so I was like, what time's the choir on? Because I'm used to seeing Wales play, and when Wales play, you get a choir, you get a couple of numbers, you get a goat, you get the army. And I was like, where's the choir? And everyone's looking at me like, who's this fucking idiot?
It's
where's the choir before or after the interval?
Excuse me, is it after the interval, please? Sheffield Wednesday, you get what's their song? Hi Ho Silver Lining.
That's a good song.
That's their song. You get, the mascots come out and do a bit of all this and all that kind of stuff. Then last time we were there, I can't remember what happened, someone ran on the pitch, which obviously you're not allowed to do, and everyone was like, "Way!" And then they got a bit full of themselves and fell over.
Oh.
So embarrassing.
Yeah.
Good few thousand people there.
Jeez, did everyone laugh?
Yeah, everyone went, "Way!"
Oh,
God. I was just like, eh. But it's totally different to watching a Premier League. The first time I ever went to a football match, I was about 10 maybe, and I went with my Uncle Jack to Old Trafford because he's a big Manchester United fan, and my cousin couldn't go, and they said, do you want to come with me? And I said yeah. I'd never been in a football stadium before, and when I walked up the stairs to go into the thing, I will never forget seeing a huge football stadium for the first time in my life, because I just went, oh. The first time you see it, it looks incredible.
It's awesome, isn't it? In the traditional sense.
Like Old Trafford was like, I was like, oh my God, this is like massive.
I've told you that sort of, the Millennium Stadium had that feeling for me because it's like, well, it's incredible. Yeah. Like, what a venue. And I've seen bands in there, I've seen the rugby in there. Have I told you about that story? I must have told you this, where, I went to speak to you in Welsh then. Tiddy Rowan.
Oh, yeah.
Lovely Welsh comedian
lovely
from where I'm from. He said they were getting a tour of it, right? Because it's all singing, all dancing. The roof slides across, all that kind of stuff. They've got, a falcon on the staff that keeps the fucking pigeons away. All this kind of shit. So they're doing this like, welcome, croeso I the Millennium Stadium, and they're walking around. And for some reason, there's these sort of like old farmers who are part of the tour, and they're walking through the corridors, and the corridors are like beautiful, and there's bits of art on the wall and all the things that have happened there. And one of the old farmers walks over and he puts his hand on one of the radiators, and he turns to his mate and he goes, "Do it's on, And that was like the thing he was most impressed with, the fact the radiators were on. He went, "Do this is on."
Seriously, that's not the roof.
No, it wasn't anything. It was the fact that fucking hell, they've got the money to keep the radiators on.
That's brilliant.
I thought I told you that.
That's so good.
I need to clarify just because something I said recently got misheard. I said "do" there, not "Jew." But sometimes it sounds like Jew when they say it. So D-U-W in Welsh is God, and people go, oh, Jew. And it sounds like sometimes you're saying Jew, which I thought is what it was when I was growing up, but I didn't know what the word Jew meant. So just in case anyone mishears and feels like
I think you're worrying too much about it.
I'm not, because I have a bit in my show where I say, what was that?
That was Tim yawning. making an appearance on the podcast there.
That was unbelievable.
That sounded like the fucking Brontosaurus in
It sounded like
Jurassic
a foghorn
Park,
or whatever, at the front of Titanic. What was that? Oh yeah, so I have a bit where I say a wayward duke, and someone messaged me and said, I just wanted to talk, can you explain, really enjoyed the show, but can you explain the Jew reference at the end? And I was like, what? And I was thinking, what have I got? And you would go to be defensive and be like, fuck you, of course I didn't say that, but also this is a Jewish person, so I was like, I totally understand in the current climate why you might feel like, but I was like, the joke wouldn't make sense if that I say wayward duke, and they were like, oh fuck, but also like, okay, I misheard it.
The thing is though, it's like sometimes the first thing that people go to, do you not think you might just have misheard?
Well, I think that's why they were checking as opposed to like calling me out.
Look, I don't get me started on stuff like this. I can't deal with it. I cannot deal with it. I get it, but at the same time, I'm like, you've come to watch a comedy show I'm sorry.
Let us slag off Jews.
By one of the most, what's the word?
Tediously right on.
Socially conscious people I know. In what world would anyone think that you had just decided to say that?
Well, that's how I first felt, was like, oh, come on, look at everything I do. But at the same time, I'm like, yeah, but there are people who are really right on, and they're like, yeah, but ignore the Jews, that's fine. Look, I just think, I get it, fine, that's that situation, that's whatever that is, and it got cleared up and everyone's happy. But I do just think sometimes people are sitting in audiences waiting to go, come on, say so. I'm waiting for it. I'm waiting for you to say something. I'm waiting for it. And what I would say to those people is, you don't belong in a comedy now. Fuck off. Sit at home. And, now that you can't write letters into TV shows, you now sit in the audiences, you're waiting to trip people up. I've got no time for it. Comedy, just fucking chill out. We know what we're doing. Chill the fuck out. We're not saying anything bad. Yeah.
And actually, can I just ask you about this? Funnily enough, no, because I got into comedy because it's a one-way conversation. Because throughout my life, I've been spoken over by middle-class people and men consistently. So this is my fucking space, and I don't want your opinion. Did you find it funny? Yeah, that's our contract ended. The end. What's happened? Have you got another message?
I bought something on Vinted and they've just refunded it and said, apologies, but I changed my mind on selling the dress to someone with no reviews yet.
Don't get me started on Vinted. Next time, let's discuss Vinted. Right, that's the end of the episode. That's the cliffhanger.
What? I didn't know you could do that. So I can't get okay.
Yeah, but pick that. You know what you've got there? That's someone who sits in an audience waiting to hear something that they don't like or they think they want to pull you up. That's what that person is.
So I don't understand why, I can't get reviews until I buy something.
Yeah, but that's a rare occasion that shouldn't happen.
Yeah, I just didn't even know you could do that. Refuse to sell people stuff because they have only just gone on the app.
Speaking of which, I've got a jumper to post.
I feel deeply...
look, fuck these people.
Offended.
You wouldn't want to ring anyway, do you? That's the end of the podcast.
Thanks for listening. We'll speak to you soon.
Bye.